Austin Mates, good there. Dino Imbriano coming down now. A little bit of trivia, Dino was at Milers Club league #1 back in 2005. So Glenn Imbriano is through onto his last lap. We have a look up the other end of the track though, and our early leader, a little bit of a challenge here. Looks like Scroggy making a bit of a move. Cooper looking very strong too. So John Cooper, one of our great Masters athletes in the Essendon colours. Only a bit of a challenge, but I think Robot, let's get behind Robot. It's been a front running performance. 12-year-old doing very well here. So he'll take it out. Good run from Scroggy as well. He'll come through the second. What a run here from John Cooper. So he'll be next through. Then it's Wills from Ballarat. John Imbriano's through. And Maladay will be next. Marasco. Austin Mates from Richmond, one of our regulars at Milers Club. Let's have a strong run there from Austin. Two to come still. So it looks like the battle of the Imbrianos. There might be a bit of a challenge here. Young Glenn is starting to put the afterburners on, chasing Dad. Streaks past him. Let's see if there's a response.
Yeah, I'll give it a
No, I think he's just killed him here.
What do you mean?
Right. So Dino pulls the outside, they push him along.
Oh, can you?
A bit more work here if you want to beat Dad.
I can't hear anything.
So let's get behind young Glenn here. Good running here. Dino comes through, congratulates his son. Great team effort there from the Imbriano family.
Oh, yeah.
Just got all that.
It just... That's weird.
Can you just unlock it, please? It's running page.
We trust you're enjoying the footage so far. Unfortunately, we're having some issues with the audio, so we're doing our very best to get that rectified. It's cutting in and out. You may be experiencing a few issues there. We're giving you the best vision we possibly can. We've got that up on Facebook and on YouTube, so hopefully you have joined us on there. So we will jump on to the Tim's commentary as we go. So we bring you the vision there.
So clean start there. As you said, 10 starters. Remy Williams from Doncaster, Xavier McDonald from St Kevin's, Isaac Bealey from Fox Hill, Pips Costanzo from Ringwood, Jonathan Little, Richmond Harriers, Anton Palek from Seymour, Mark Doty from South Melbourne, Lachlan Marasco, Doncaster, Eugene Nemesi from Collingwood, and Oliver Armstrong from Athletics Chilwell.
Is it sound? Yes, we apologise for the audio technical difficulties that we're having. Hopefully you can see the vision okay. Obviously we don't have a clock out here at Box Hill as well, but we are certainly doing our best.
So just another reminder that the league numbers must be visible if the agency play like the pitch. So make sure when you put the league numbers on, they're not obscured by the singlet. The 10 runners, Andrew Searle from Yarra Rangers, Cleveland Conley, Diamond Valley, and Noel White from Essendon, Declan Emerson, Eureka, Rayner Danson from Hawaii, Matthew Venner from Nunawading, Max Jones, Atlas Jewell, Daniel Malone from Knox, Catherine Rechko from St Kevin's, and Gomi Zuko from the Western Athletics. There might be a Eureka runner, also our Waverley runner, that would be Jensen. In the yellow of Eureka. Rayner Danson from Waverley. There are two leaders. Got Bennett in from Nunawading in the next position. Malone in the distinctive Knox colours in fourth position. So that'll be tied up the front here. We'll listen out for the splits. They come through 400. So 62 split there, so they have gone relatively quickly here. It's Emerson who makes the next move. So it's Emerson, Jansen, Malone, Venner. There's the St Kevin's runner there, which is Rechko. So 300 out. The work is now down that back straight. We're seeing Emerson just starting to inch away. Malone, if anyone, is probably likely to take that next position. As we see Venner starting to move beautifully up into that lead punch. So Emerson leads it. Malone's made a very good move. He held back beautifully early on when the pace was on, and he's starting to go. Emerson just digs deep. You can see this arcing into the wind there as he goes around the top bend. So Emerson from Eureka. Bennett now in second position representing the Nunawading. Malone battling on beautifully, then Jansen and also Rechko. So good running here from the Eureka runner. Just going to hold steady. Venner's coming home strong at him, but I think that it will be Emerson will take this one out. So 6 and 2 opening lap, and they're always going to be close, but I think Emerson got it just on the 2:10 mark. Malone will be through next. The true well runner there is Max Jones. Then we got Jansen. Then from Diamond Valley we had Cleveland Conley. So an interesting battle there for the younger guys in that race. Declan Emerson Eureka just holding off Matthew Venner from Nunawading. Take out the men's 800 metres. If Gracie Lee Egner's at the track, can we have you down for the start line, please? Gracie Lee Egner in the next of our events, which is the women's G800.
One has Rayner meeting, not that one.
So Hurley leads going into the straight. Backaroo in second. Armstrong with Untitled Runner. She's in third. Time check 2:25 as they're coming through. This is going to be a tight one. The judges are getting ready here. And it looks like Armstrong's coming from the clouds. Sophia Armstrong will take it. Backaroo in or could be Brother on the inside there. I'll be next. Hurley right in front running in. There's Fisher.
Yep, okay. So this one goes in there.
Then we've got Wilson coming through. D.O. Also, Western Athletics is sending Houston. Interesting race there, as we expect. Women's G 800 metres. Lots of excitement here now, because on the line we are going to have the men's G800, which is the dash for cash. The winner of this event will take home $100 in cash, courtesy of the Victorian Milers Club. And gee, what a field it is too, some old stages in this bunch. I will announce the field. Station 1, you've got Angus Norman from Yarra Rangers. Station 2, Jack Diamond, Eureka. Station 3, Josh Phillip from Ivanhoe Harriers. Station 5, Oscar O'Connor, Doncaster. Station 6, Michael Susan from Glen Hutley. Station 7, James Dean, Ringwood. Station 8, Michael Davis from Melbourne University. Station 9, Nick O'Halloran, St Kevin's. Station 10, Campbell McLennan from Doncaster. And Station 11, also from Doncaster, Caleb Buchanan. So we have got 10 starters. The men's G dash for cash.
No, same as every other year. They all sort of blend into one, but I do a combination of my families and Sophie's families, and yeah, we end up eating about 3 meals across. Actually, recently, just lost my job at Jump Media.
On that bottom bit, no, on that bit. Yep, like that. Yep, but no, but down. No, no, no.
Outside there, this could be Caleb McLennan. And we've also got the Eureka runner there in Jack Diamond. So expecting this one to be pretty hot. James Dean in the Ringwood colours. But as we see with this $100 race, there's usually a little bit of cat and mouse goes on. They know the value of that money, so usually delivers a good race. And this one won't be an exception because they have got off to a good, clean start here. Doncaster runner there. I think that's Oscar O'Connor. He leads the way. A little bit of pushing and shoving there as they come in. A move there from one of the other Doncaster runners. So O'Connor, it's McLennan leading. O'Connor the outside. Dean the pro runner, he knows what it's like to win money and how to race for it too. So he's tucked in beautifully in that 4th position at the moment.
If the pro
so
runner
leads
wins,
it.
dash the cash. That is the biggest.
Diamond in 2nd position at the moment, but on the outside there, it's now Oscar O'Connor. Dean also following that move. A little bit of a break then to the Melbourne University runner in Davis. As O'Connor made the big move, James Dean is going with him. And also Diamond from Eureka. He's now to the outside of Dean and chasing him down. So O'Connor leads it. Might be putting my money here on the Eureka runner in Diamond. So Diamond seems to challenge O'Connor. $100 riding on this one. Big finish. O'Connor very brave on the inside, but Diamond's just coming over the top. But this is going to pay the petrol money from Ballarat. Diamond will take that one out. $100. Great running though, Oscar O'Connor set that up. Dean was in a good position. Davis takes the next one. Then Philip McLennan. Norman coming through. Suzanne, McLennan, and O'Halloran will round out the field in the men's G 800 metres.
Why is that happening?
I was like, well, getting there by sort of 6:15, sometimes it can be correct. It's like I'm used to could have been worse. But yeah, probably needed less of it to be on time.
Why is that happening?
Yeah, I tell you, I'm not missing those peak hour morning and evening drives.
Okay, so we think we have fixed the audio issue, which is the cable needs to be replaced, believe it or not. So we've got that rectified, so we think.
soft pole from Chilwell and also Justine White from Chilwell. So good clean start. Richard is moving away there into second position. Good to see Sylvester running these 800s in miles. He has done this before. They'll get the race experience over the two-lapper. And then she hits those multiple events to head back on her specialty. Well, it's like it could be two on her out front. Just kicks as they come through. To a soft pole. Soft pole leads it. Then Moochie sitting beautifully. They're going to go for a pretty quick pace here, actually. So Tess goes through 67. Let's ride with us. Then we've got Sibley, followed by Chris. Then we've got the wire runner there in Rayson. So Kersop Cole's doing a really good job here, just setting a good pace in this 800 for the women. So running well above C times currently these two. Sibley looking good in the Yarra Rangers colours, so moving down the back straight now. Rayson is also there. Ruby Chris in a fourth position. So Moochie making a good move down the back straight, so starting to keep deep, and she's going to push hard this last 200. First up Cole, not going to let it go through though, and you see Moochie just drift back into that second position. So 200 out, and Kersop Cole looks like she might be just running away with this. Moochie's done a really good 600. That might have been the plan today. Really just go for that 600 and see what's left. So
The things up, and the long tall one's got to go in, and that's going to be on top, and the white's going to be plugged in the white. I'll give a shot in with
alongside Sibley. They'll come past Moochie in the stretch. The test Kersop Cole, what a good run this is. 2:16 clock going on now. This is going to be a massive run. Hopefully it's up 2:20. Right on, just missed it, I'd say. Racing's going to come through for that next position. Then we've got Sibley, followed by Chris, Moochie, White. Also up there was Alice Styles.
Put that in there.
And the Sandringham runner there, Louisa Lezard. As we can see by these scenes on the track, that was a very hard-fought race. As Kersop Cole running beautifully, Celeste Moochie challenging the 600. And Kersop Cole right on the 220 mark, coming through. Yeah, just a reminder too that please report, you can come down on the track about 10 minutes before your race. There's plenty of room down here to stand and watch and get your hit numbers. We want hit numbers on relatively quickly.
Does this need a battery in the back?
No, because it's got the power, remember? We're going to plug the power into it.
Wolfgang Cotton, Collingwood, and Jack Coltich at Long Hill. And that might be Marcus White leading the way. Patrick Matthews is our pacemaker. Patrick from KSC. Beautifully in position. That's the way the Pacers do it. Let everyone settle and then start to put the pace on. So Pat's doing that beautifully here. As you can see, the boys now starting to string out behind him, which means the pace is very decent. So it's Matthews leading. I think that is White. Then we've got Cripps in the next position. A good steady line here, which is what we want to see. 58 seconds, perfectly done there. Of interest will be Cotton and Measy, the Collingwood athlete, and look how well he's just moving into that second position now. So, bit of a young talent, this is all skills champion. So, Wolfgang Cotton and Measy, nice bit of ribbon down the back straight. Very good, strong run there. So, it's still White leading this race. Cotton and Measy just continue to stay in the next position. Then we move through to one of the St Kevin's runners. There's a lot of them in the field, so my apologies for not spotting them. But White's been leading this the whole way, sat beautifully off Matthews on the first lap for a 58. Cotton and Measy in next position. And he's gone to the outside, and I think he'll take this one out. So I think that might be potential Lynch in next position. But Cotton and Measy on the outside.
He's coming! He's coming!
And here's Connor Lynch coming at him, and Connor Lynch will take this. So Lynch, Cotton and Measy, 2:04 unofficial. Then White, Cripps in next position. Benjamin Collins up there. Also Callum Day. So good run there from Connor Lynch from St Kevin's, taking that one out.
Find it. Did you find it? Oh, you found it? Good job.
Next event on the track, women's E 800 metres. There are 10 starters to introduce the field once they are underway. So underway now, women's E 800 metres. From Diamond Valley, Amy Cripps. Elliot Masters from Box Hill and below from Collingwood. Sally Holzover from Knox. Madison Balsella from Western A's. Maddie Holmstrom from Sandringham. Megan Dean. Eve Parry, Box Hill. Claudia Evil and Jacinta McFarlane from Geelong Hill. So Holzover's out quickly in the Knox colours. Little gap there, but it might be McFarlane from Geelong Hill in next position. So Holzover looking strong out front. Little break, about 5 metres over the pack. We come down into the home straight the first time. So it's a Sandringham runner there. Also up there is Holmstrom from Sandy, as we said. Dean in the white singlet to the outside. Also got Evil. So Holzover leads them through. Just to try and check here, 66 seconds. Warrior Evil in the black. She's just to the outside of Dean, going to the outside now. Gap then back to Masters. So the bunch now starting to move. Holmstrom's run a very solid race there in the Sandringham colours. Evil and Dean are battling in that next position. Break then of about 10 metres back to Masters from Box Hill. So Holzheimer's led all the way. She's getting a bit of a headwind now on that back straight. Holmstrom's just happy to stay in that position. Evil starting to fade as we see Dean starting to move right on the back there of Holmstrom. So still not much change out front. They've obviously all put it in there. As we've seen Holzover, if this is a go to way, this is going to be a really big run from Sally Holzover. Megan Dean's the one who looks like might make the move there. So Dean in the white. Holzover's still leading this. And I reckon she might have enough to take this out, but Holstrom's coming back again. And Holzover led all the way. Very impressive running. She will take it out. Dean to the outside. Holstrom gets second. Dean third. Then Evil. Batistella, the Baldy eventer. She's come through beautifully there. Sub 230. So great running. Sally Holzover. Knox. I think that's one the VMC judges will definitely be looking at for one of the encouragement awards.
One sec, buddy.
Event number 9 on the track. That's the men's E.
Dave said just make sure you know you're getting 2 channels, one with the ambient and one with Tim.
Who's? Oh, you mean Dave?
Cameraman.
Yeah.
He said he's got your 2 channels coming through. So
Yeah, I'm not getting anything. Nothing's coming through. No sounds coming through.
Craig Sanford from Waverley, Ash Cowan from Victorian Cross Country League, Lachlan Abbott, Essendon, Thomas Sheridan, Ringwood, Jacob Pearson, Manawatting, Mark Stott, Richmond Harriers, David Greg from Ivanhoe Harriers, Sam Dummett, Wellington, and Andrew Simmons from Ballerine. Setting up times, and that's what Pat Matthews is doing at the moment. Sheridan looking very strong.
So to our viewers at home, we seem to be having sound issues, but the sound issues are our end. You should be getting sound through YouTube and on Facebook. You should be getting all the sound you need. So we'll continue to tune in to Tim's commentary. Hopefully you can hear it clearly.
So Tom Sheridan from Ringwood, got a 15-metre break there. Andrew Simmons from Ballerine. Gap there to Pearson. And now the moves are coming. Stodden, the Richmond runner, he's the first one to make one. He's making a big move out the outside. Sanford just got stuck in traffic there. As you see Sheridan just starting to tie up a bit, and here comes the challenge from Pearson from Manawatting. So Sheridan is tying up. Pearson's going to come straight through. Simmons still looking okay, but gee, the pack's coming. One of those is Cowan from the Victorian Cross Country League. So Pearson, I think, has made the right moves here. So Jacob Pearson will take this out from no whiting. It's a good run, so he'll be happy with that. Looks like Sheridan might just hang on for a second. He's got Cowan just the outside, then Greg, Scott and Sanford. Then we had Dunnett, Simmons and Attar. So anytime around the 201 mark there, Jacob Pearson taking that one out.
So he's getting audio up there.
Punching up here. Reese, relatively strong.
What else do I need to get ready?
At the moment.
Do we need another?
So the aerial's going to go on top of that.
Yep.
Obviously, the wire's going to go into it.
Do we need another power board to plug this in?
Dre's up there.
Yeah, maybe.
Also, we have got Charlie's power.
Just sandbag it up, so the sandbag down there's going to be strong.
So Bloomberg, Power, Dreyer, Canada, in that order. Bloomberg's just starting to come back into the pack.
No, it's alright. I was just like, makes it
That
easier.
Michael Dreyer starting to make the move on Lindbergh. So the multi-eventer, as we saw with Celeste before, having a really good kid out over the 800. Probably their least preferred event of the 7. race is on. They're going to drop it from the sky. There's a few challenges being mounted. So it's Charlie Power leading it. Canada will be in second position, I think. So that was Coltish dropping in, but it was Charlie Power taking that one out. Sophie Coltish, one of our great Geelong prospects coming through. We'll see Olivia the contenders rounding out the field there. The women's D 800 metres.
Yeah, this time cross there. Even if it's like a ballpark of like what to expect for each race.
So we trust that you are enjoying the footage. We've got Lyndon Hall here, who's joined us on commentary tonight. Thanks, Lyndon, for trekking all the way over from wherever you came from and in the traffic.
No, thanks for having me. Hopefully some good races we're in store for now that we're up and running.
Certainly is. We've got another big race coming up tonight. Some of the races have been pretty darn good.
Oh.
So now we're just focusing our attention to the men's D800.
Quickly run through our starters. In lane 1, Harrison Kimpton Moss of Melbourne Uni. Lane 2, Michael Tostotis of Glen Huntly. Lane 3, Michael Geese of Old Melburnians. Lane 4, George Lancaster of Wellington Athletics. Lane 5, Ethan McMinamy of Western A's. Lane 6, Lachlan Donovan of Box Hill. Lane 7, Jack Hughes of Melbourne Uni. Lane 8, Cameron Simon of Diamond Valley. Lane 9, Nathan Crowley of Hobsons Bay Running Club. And Lane 10, Simon Blight of Bellarine Athletic Club.
And it's a beautiful night for racing, isn't it, Lyndon?
Yeah, it's looking pretty still out there as our athletes come down into the front straight to get the bell. All nicely strung out, bit of an indicator they probably are moving at a pretty good pace for what they look at. Our fastest athlete comes in with a PB of about 2 minutes. So they've gone through in just under 60 seconds. So if they can maintain that, we might have some PBs here tonight in this event, which would be great for our boys here in the D event.
Good battle here, Kimpton Moss looking very composed to the outside of Geese and now starts to make the move. Lancaster in the Wellington, red, white and blue, he's in next position. Soaps is starting to come through too. He's got 200 metres to go, Soaps. Let's see him kick it down if he can. But it's Kimpton Moss in the Melbourne Uni colours looking very strong here. Starting to stride away.
So Harrison Kimpton Moss is really striding away from the field now and looking pretty confident out in the front as he comes into the front straight, looking to take out this men's D race. But a tighter battle for second place there between our Old Melburnians athlete and our Wellington Athletics athlete. But Kimpton Moss will hold on for the win. Dips under 2 minutes, so that's quicker than his seed time he came in with, so that's a great outcome for him tonight.
So just looking at the seed times that they came in with, it looks like it's pretty much on par at least.
Well, I think our first three would have come in just under that 2 minute barrier, so I think they were our three athletes who entered with a dead 2 minute time, so hopefully they've hit their target for this evening. They'll be going home with a big smile on their face, a nice early Christmas present. Nice way to set up the start of your season.
It is. Now we've got the women's C 800 coming up. You can see the women just getting on the track right now. Who's your pick for this one?
Ooh. So look, our fastest seed time coming in is Rachel Jennings with a 2:18. One of our younger athletes here competing tonight, just 16 years of age. So although this heat's got quite a few girls around that sort of 16 to 20 age group, so probably all very used to racing each other, no doubt. Possibly had some races over all schools and things like that recently, and the other schools' competitions that have gone on. So they're probably got a few races under the belt already, even though it's early season for a lot of athletes. With the schools events, they tend to get rolling pretty early, so might see some fast times here.
So this is not really the business end of the season. The business end of the season's around March, April. Is that correct?
Yeah, definitely. That's when we'll have Open and Junior Nationals, but there's also the schools' nationals that they would have had up in Cairns not that long ago. As well as, you'll know, they had the primary school nationals as well, and I'm sure there's some of those athletes who are involved in both those competitions here competing tonight. But
for you as an open athlete, really it's after Christmas that you really start to gear up and work towards that April goal?
Yeah, definitely, and then it's going to be a long year this year with a very late World Championships, so trying to save some energy for then, definitely.
That's August, is that correct?
September. Yeah, so
later.
A little later than usual, but we'll turn our attention back to our women's C race. We'll go through our starters. In lane 1, we have Rachel Jennings of Wellington Athletic Club. Lane 2, Matisse Lazzarari of Knox Athletics. Lane 3, Mia Rue of Collingwood. Lane 4, Rachel Waters of Deakin Athletic Club. Lane 5, Hayley McGoldrick of Box Hill. Lane 6, Mia Skrelly of Sandringham. Lane 7, Samantha Olsen, Box Hill. Lane 8, Joanna O'Connell of Doncaster, and Lane 9, Wednesday Shield of Box Hill Athletic Club.
And just for our viewers at home, obviously there is no clock here at Box Hill. We don't have the luxury of a green screened clock like we do at Lakeside, so it's all up to the results. And you can check the results on the Athletics Victoria website.
So Matisse Lazzari of Knox has gone straight to the front as they had just go past the 200 mark of this race, but pretty bunchy at the front of that field. So it looks like a few of our Box Hill athletes in that front pack there. There is a number of Box Hill runners in this field on their home track here tonight. So they go through in about 66, 67 for that front pack, which is pretty on track for some good times. They've come in with about seed times of 2:18 to 2:20 in this heat. So if these girls can maintain that pace, we might see some PBs or season bests. But Lazzari still holds that lead and starting to gap a little bit on McGoldrick of Box Hill, who's just closed that gap right as I said that. And these two will share the lead as they go down the back straight, where I believe rumour is there is a little bit of a headwind down that back straight, so hopefully not doing too much work into that wind and save something for that final 200, because we know that's never really a fun part of that 800. But Box Hill's athlete McGoldrick has taken the lead from Matisse Lazzari as they come around past the water jump with just over 120 metres to go. But these two are still going to have a bit of a contest over this last 100. Certainly going to be a close finish, I think. But the Box Hill athlete, home track advantage, is maintaining and possibly extending her lead over our early leader, Matisse Lazzari of Knox. So McGoldrick will hold on for the win from Matisse Lazzari. Probably about 2:18, 2:19. So right around what these girls entered their times with. So hopefully that was right on their target for this evening.
Just can't have that fall again.
In the women's C 800.
So now it's a men's C race, and we see some pretty quick times coming in here. Seed times at least 1:57, which is that's pretty fast, isn't it?
It's not too bad. Yeah, a lot of these guys are quite young in this field, so yeah, pretty impressive times for some of these sort of school-age kids who've got in there. Nice to see Simon Fitzpatrick out there having a race. Used to known for a very, very high number of consistent 150s back in the day. Have seen him do a bit of pacemaking lately of the recent years, but looks like he's down for an actual race this year today, which is exciting. But yeah, real spread of ages across this race.
We move towards our next race, which is the men's C 800 metres. There will be 8 starters.
So
And the battery.
It's a little red and black bag.
So the boys of our C race are just finding their lanes and doing some final run-throughs as we get ready. We can go through our competitors in the men's C 800 metres here tonight at Box Hill. In lane 1, Harrison Van Duren of Yarra Rangers. Lane 2, Simon Fitzpatrick of Athletics Essendon. Lane 3, Daniel Delberto of Frankston. Lane 4, Dylan Vowles of Keilor St Bernards. Lane 5, Leonardo Curtis of Old Melburnians. Lane 6, Eamon Wright of Nuttawading. Lane 7, Bailey Camillo of Williamstown. Lane 8, Andrew Matheson of St Kevin's. Lane 9, Oliver Wiltshire of Athletics Chilwell. And Lane 10, Darcy Hughes of Nuttawading. And the boys are off. And Athletics Essendon's Simon Fitzpatrick looks like he's going right to the front. He's been challenged by a smaller athlete who I actually can't see on the other side of. But the athletes in this race all come in with a really close spread of entry time, so you'd expect it to be a really closely fought race. But the way they're stringing out suggests they're rolling at a pretty decent pace.
Matthews pushing hard. It's going to get harder and harder with Paddy as these races just get quicker and quicker. So Simon Fitzpatrick, former national level 800 metre runner in this C race, looking strong.
It looks like the athlete we have out in front is actually our pacemaker. So Simon Fitzpatrick is leading our actual race in about 55 seconds at the bell. Definitely an experienced athlete, knows what he's doing over the 800. So perhaps using his experience over some of these younger competitors out there tonight. But Leonardo Curtis of Old Melburnian sits in behind him. And they're nicely strung out, that front four. As we head down the back straight, the Old Melburnians athlete, Curtis, looks like he's challenging Fitzpatrick for the lead. And Simon is not letting him go past him. He's put another move in and is held on to his lead. And now he's got another challenge from the Nuttawading athlete, which is Eamon Wright. And he takes the lead from Fitzpatrick as they enter the front straight and is really starting to pull away. He's opened up a little bit of a gap. But our fastest seed athlete, Harrison Van Duren, runs a very smart race. Takes the win in just under 2 minutes there. Cannot actually see the clock from where we are sitting, so apologies on the inaccurate time calls, but hopefully the official results will not be too far away for everyone watching at home.
Great call, and Lyndon, that's fantastic work on your part. We're up against it tonight, that's for sure.
Yeah, definitely missing my friends. Extra backup, but hopefully we'll have everyone back when it's not Christmas time.
That's right. Michael Messini, who normally joins us, wasn't available, and James wasn't available, but Lyndon Hall always comes through with the goods. So now we have the women's 800. Let me introduce to you the starters that we've got as they just warm up on the side of the track, as you can see. Amy Atkinson from Box Hill Athletic Club. We got Zoe Woods from Williamstown Athletic Club. Got Lucy Lutchford from Collingwood Harriers. Brand new track they got this season. Sophie Bolmert from Sandringham Athletic Club. Kiara Flavel from Yarra Rangers Athletics. Ruby Mayer from Box Hill Athletic Club. Brianna Sherry from Casey Cardinia Athletics. And Ashley Tregas from Box Hill Athletic Club. Being in the game a long time, Lyndon, you've probably seen some of these runners before, but in my role at School Sport Victoria, I've been there 4 years and I'm starting to see some of these names come through, like the ones I've just called out, Zoe Woods, Kiara Flavel, Ruby Mayer. And it's just nice to see that they not only compete as 10-year-olds, but they stay in the sport.
Yeah, definitely, and Milers Club sets up a great way to make it easy and fun to still be involved and get good racing in. It
really is. It's an opportunity because, you know, not everyone can do weekends, even though weekends is the time to compete. But it's great to have a nice night like tonight. It's not too warm. It's definitely not too windy.
No, a perfect night here for our girls in the women's B race. And it looks like we've flown off pretty fast. We've got a bit of a spread happening at the front of the field already, but starting to bunch up a little more after the excitement. Getting off the line, the girls are coming back together as we go through the 200 mark.
Going around to the outside there for Chilwell runner. I think there was Flavel who went out earlier. You can see Atkinson coming through. The Cox is going good as well. Woods is with her. There's Flavel. Then we've got Tragus, Folmat. The race is on between Woods and also Hobbs from Chilwell. And boy, don't those styles look fairly similar. Both very dogged runners, 300 metres out.
So our front two athletes have really pulled away from the rest of the field and making a big run from home. Our athlete in third place, though, a little bit in no woman's land there, but looks like she's gaining a little bit on that front pack. So they come through. They've got 200 to go. Looks like Zoe Woods, our Williamstown Athletic Club athlete, has just taken the front position as they come up, about 150 metres to go. So she's working very hard there. Will she hold on to her lead as they come into the front straight? But there is a challenge coming on the outside from what looks like a Chilwell uniform. So Olivia Hobbs has gone straight to the front, goes past Zoe Woods and is going to hold on for this win here. Some very tired faces coming over that finish line. These girls have worked hard tonight, finishing about a 2:15.
Fantastic running, really strategic there.
Yeah, a few lead changes in just that last 200.
Unplug the USB from the computer and plug it back in again.
Big embrace there from the two girls. What a race that was.
Race 14 now?
15. So the boys in our men's B 800 metre race here tonight, just getting their final instructions and finding their lanes. So our starters tonight in the men's B will be Lane 1, Lachlan Hurd of Casey Cardinia. Lane 2, Harrison Rubin of Old Melburnians. Lane 3, Angus Donnelly of Old Melburnians. Lane 4, Nathan Corbett of Mornington Peninsula. Lane 5, Harrison Carr of Old Scotch Collegians. Lane 6, Thomas Scroggy of St Kevin's. Lane 7, Nick O'Brien of Athletics Chilwell. Lane 8, Noah Gadsby of Geelong Guild. Lane 9, Jack Lunn of St Kevin's. And Lane 10, Connor Ogilvie of Box Hill. The fastest athlete coming in with their entry time was Lachlan Hurd with a 1:54. As the boys are just finding their lanes, starting to get set. But almost all of our athletes have entered with a 1:55 or a 1:56 entry time, so hopefully some tight racing here for these boys tonight. And hopefully some going home with some PBs.
Is there a number on the other side? 8. Shouldn't be 8, should be 2. 8 and 8. Oh. Just turn it off. You reach that?
So it looks like the boys have a pacemaker out there as well, which is great to see. Always great when you can get someone down to pace.
So plainly away. So Harrison Rubin, 400, 400 specialist. He's in the lanes there, so the central lanes. The outside of him is Corbett from Mornington Peninsula. First off, Cole has folded. He's going to have to put his pace in. You know that.
So a very excited pacemaker. He's definitely gotten to the front of the field, but perhaps a little bit quicker as they start to come back together. He has a quick look at the watch. The rest of the field very bunched up there behind the pacemaker, but to be expected with so many close entry times coming into this heat.
Let's see if we can take him through to about 500 metres. Brian in the Chilwell colours behind his teammate there. Kershaw Cole is doing the pacing. Lachlan Hurd from pacing.
And that one?
So Nick O'Brien of Chilwell sits in behind our pacer, and he goes through right on 55 seconds. So all nicely strung out, an indicator of a bit of pace. Our pace is really putting in some hard yards here tonight as he pulls off after about 550 metres, leaving Nick O'Brien to lead this field with a small gap back to our second athlete, as he looks to start to be pulling away even as we enter the final 200. A lot of movement back in that main pack. But Harrison Rubin from Old Melburnians making a huge move around the outside. His background is a bit of a sprinter, and he's going to come through for the win. Looking really strong as he finishes. He'll just hold off Nick O'Brien. But a really close finish for our boys, right around a 1:55. So really close to what a lot of them entered with. So hopefully we'll have a few PBs in there when we get the final results. Now, without being too biased, the next race is probably the one I'm most excited for tonight. Very excited to see how Morgan Mitchell goes over at 800. It's probably been a couple of years since she's run one, but she did run a pretty solid 1500 a couple of weeks ago out here at Box Hill. But, you know, beyond Morgan as well, there's a bunch of really great 800 girls who may or may not be from my training squad, so I may or may not be a little bit biased, but at least I'll be able to pick all the runners this time around.
Certainly is interesting that Morgan Mitchell has moved from 4s to 8s. Do you know much about that transition?
Yeah, I think, you know, it's just a new event, which is exciting. Sometimes it's easy to get a bit, you know, it's hard to improve when you get so good at one event. So running something new is, you know, provides a new stimulus, something a bit different in training and racing. So freshen it up for her, I think, yeah, it could be really exciting. We'll see how she goes. You know, obviously, I don't know, people may or may not know, she did start out in some cross-country teams. We were teammates on a Victorian cross-country team in I don't know, probably 2004, 2005 or something, before Morgan realised she was much faster over 400 metres than she was over 4K. Probably the best decision she ever made. I probably should have made a similar one, but not quite fast enough for that. But our other competitors, we'll run through all our competitors now for our women's A 800 metres. So lane 1, Morgan Mitchell, Western Athletics. Lane 2, Ellie Sandford, Box Hill. Lane 3, Maddie Murray, Deakin Athletics. Lane 4, Gigi Makangani of South Melbourne. Lane 5, Zoe Brito Batapule of Athletics Nuttawading. Lane 6, Molly Blakey of Doncaster. Lane 7, Rochelle Kennedy of Western Athletics. And Lane 8, Jamie Wainwright of Mornington Peninsula. And Molly Blakey also stepping up from the 400 to the 800 here tonight. And she ran a really great 800 at the last Milers Club.
In Station 1, representing Mornington Peninsula, Jamie Wainwright. Station 2, Athletics Nuttawading, Zoe Brito Batapule. Station 3, from Deakin, former Victorian Milers Club champion, Madeline Murray. Station 4, from Western Athletics, Morgan Mitchell. Station 5 from Box Hill, Ali Sanford. Station 6 from South Melbourne, Gigi Macanini. Station 7 from Western Athletics, Rochelle Kennedy. And Station 8 from Doncaster, Molly Blakey. 8 starters in the women's A 800 metres.
I just need juice, but sorry, I can't do it.
So our girls are off. We don't have a pacer. I did hear they were going to earlier in the week, so it'll be interesting to see who does take up this early running. Morgan obviously used to flying out of the blocks in the 400, so... And it looks like Morgan has gone directly to the front, followed by Molly Blakey of Doncaster. So our 2 400-metre athletes have gone straight to the front, but Morgan's opening a bit of a gap already, and Maddie Murray of Deakin has slipped into that second position between Morgan and Molly. So they hit the 200. They have started to regroup just a little bit.
So Wainwright, the young runner from Mornington Peninsula, tucked nicely at the tail end of the field, which is where she needs to be. So Madeline Murray coming alongside.
So Maddie Murray looking to challenge Morgan a little bit, coming from real different angles. Morgan obviously the 400-metre background, but we saw Maddie run a really great 3K at our last Milers Club meet. So she's sort of dropping down in distance, Morgan's stepping up. So we'll see how that looks in the last lap. So they've gone through in about 62, 63 seconds. So be looking to try and maintain that or even pick it up. I did hear in the week they were looking to go through a little quicker than that, but without a pacer sometimes that is a little bit hard. But Maddie Murray does look to be going challenging and maybe getting around Morgan, but she's definitely running wide here. So Morgan's got the clearer inside lane, running it like a wise distance runner. Who would know she's a sprinter? But she does look to be just holding off the challenge from Maddie Murray. So we look back to our second pack. Gigi Macanini is catching these 2 girls and looking to have a really huge finish over this final 200. And she jumps on the back and goes to the front, goes round Morgan. So we may have a surprise winner here. All eyes were on Morgan and Maddie over that first lap, but Gigi's just coming around in a bit of a tight battle here with Morgan, but Morgan's found another little finish and she's going to, looks like, just hold off Maddie Murray in about 2:06. So I'm going to have a stab and say that's a 800-metre PB for Morgan. Given her previous PB is probably from when she was about 14 or something.
You got to admit that's a bit of a crowd pleaser. We all wanted to see Morgan Mitchell win, and not because she's anyone more special than the other, but for someone to reinvent themselves how she has, coming from Rio. It was Rio, the last Olympics for her. That's pretty amazing.
Yeah, so it's a huge success over a 400, obviously. So, you know, great to see her having even more success over a new event. Interested to just get her recap how she thought the 800 was. She's been discovering life as a middle distance runner. I get a lot of complaints whenever I bump into her. But it's obviously all working out pretty well, and yeah, nice race to open up her 800 career with. So an official time, 2:06.73, we've just heard over the loudspeaker here for Morgan, and no doubt Maddie and Gigi would have been just off that. So yeah, some great running by those girls as well tonight. But We'll turn our attention to the men's A race now. Trying to neglect the boys too much, getting distracted by the girls. We do have 10 starters here tonight in the men's A race. So Harry May comes over from South Australia in Station 1. Lane 2, Grant Muir of Athletics Chilwell. Lane 3, Sam Russell also of South Australia. Lane 4, Matt Scott of Melbourne Uni. Lane 5, Luke Shaw of Western Athletics. Lane 6, Lockie Mann of Doncaster. Lane 7, Adam Pike of St Kevin's. Lane 8, Jacob Reed, Deakin Athletic. Lane 9, Samuel Field of Tassie. And Lane 10, Dylan Burrows of Frankston Athletic Club. And I did hear a rumour during the week that we had Christian Davis pacing these boys. Yeah, I can see him down there right in the middle, so that rumour was true. So that'll be great. The girls unlucky not to have a pacer out the front to set them up, but obviously still some great results. But always nice when you know someone's going to take the lead and you don't have to stress about it. You are hopefully going to get exactly what you want. So,
but really, being a novice to 800s, is it common for a 400 runner in Christian Davis to pace?
Well, Christian's very, very experienced over the 800 himself, so he should know what these boys want and hopefully do a really great job of it. So really great to have him out here pacing. Obviously, you know, come up from Geelong, taking time out of whatever training he had planned, but, you know, he's getting a great workout too by running this. So, yeah, really helpful for people to come out and pace. Oh, and I've just gave a little heads up that Morgan's 800 metre time was just a Western Athletics Club record by a second, so not too shabby on your first outing.
That's fantastic. I guess she's not out here long. She'll be back to the USA. Do you know if she's going back to the USA?
I think she is on a little Christmas trip, but we'll be back. She's become a real distance runner. She's going up to Falls Creek for a training camp, I believe. So yeah, but our men's A 800 boys are on the line.
As you can see, it's a beautiful night for running, that's for sure. It looks, I've got to say, it looks much better on the screen than it does live.
So our boys are off, so we'll look for Christian Davis in the blue Chilwell singlet to head up to the front. Do pacemaking duties, but looks like Matt Scott of Melbourne Uni flying off and is going to slip right in behind our pacemaker, hopefully. Had a good run over 1,500 metres at Zatopek just last week, came home pretty fast, so hopefully a good indication of a solid 800. But the boys are stringing out, good indication that the pace they've asked for is probably on. So they come around into the front straight. Hopefully we'll get a split at the 400. So Matt Scott leads our actual race behind our pacemaker. So he hit the bell in about 63 seconds. So our pacer steps off and Matt Scott takes over the reins. Russell in second place and Harry May, our South Australian athletes who've made the trek over, looking to have a very good race, of course, and then Lockie Mann, Doncaster in fourth place there. But Matt Scott is starting to pull away a little bit. Hopefully he can hold on to that over this final 120 metres. He is opening and continuing to grow his lead by the looks, but as we've seen, it can all come undone in the last 100. We've seen in a few races tonight. But Matt's gritting his teeth. He looks like he's going to get it done and hold off the challengers from behind. He's going to come in 159, 158 maybe. So a great run from Matt Scott there. Definitely was giving a good crack down that home straight. Some pretty buggered looking boys at the finish line there, which is exactly what we want to see.
I was just about to say exactly the same thing. Looks like the pace of Christian Davis certainly ruined them.
Yeah, they definitely got exactly what they wanted.
So when it comes to paces for those viewing at home, does it need to be a majority in terms of the field need to ask for a pacer, or can one person ask for a pacer?
Often at these sorts of meets, you know, someone looking to run something might ask one of their training partners or something to help them out. I know that happens a lot in my squad, being You know, we've got quite a few sort of 4-8 girls, so if I'm running a 1500, I'll often see if any of them are willing to take us through. But yeah, often if people just volunteer, they'll probably ask the top few guys who've entered the race what they're looking for and what they would like, and hopefully they're all in agreement, looking to run something similar. Yeah, and then you just got to hope you've got a reliable pacemaker who can get the job done. So Christian did a great job there tonight.
And by reliable, you mean they need whatever time or distance you've set them, they need to make sure they're on point.
Yeah, and you know, sometimes you'll get a 400 runner help pace an 8, and they're, you know, really great 400 runner, but obviously running a 400 is different to running an 800, and often you might run a very fast 200 and then die, where our 800 guys are looking for a bit more even through that first lap. So it's why Christian probably had that experience of being the 800 runner himself, so probably a little wise to that feeling. Yeah, but anyone interested in pacing at Vic Milers, do get in touch. I believe you get a free entry into the next meet if you volunteer to pace at one. I hope that's still the case. Otherwise, apologies to Vic Milers for claiming that. That is the end of our 800s here this evening at Box Hill. So we'll switch to our 1500s
it actually does
next.
Look like we've got the women's. Oh, we've done the women's, okay.
And we'll be going in reverse order to the 800s for our 1500s. So the next race up is actually the women's A 1500 metres as well. And I believe Georgia Griffith is going to be pacing her training partner, Georgia Hansen, in this race. So like I said, training partners helping training partners out is always great, but obviously helping out the rest of the field as well, which is pretty handy.
Hopefully they get a gift. It's probably not going to be a box of chocolates because they don't kind of give each other chocolates. They like to stay in form.
Chocolates are key to happiness. So.
All right, I know how to win you over. And as you can see, down the back straight, everyone warming up down the back, which is great place to just sort of congregate. It's a really good atmosphere, Milers Club, and Box Hill is certainly conducive to just lots of relaxed racing.
Yeah, I guess it is, you know, a little bit like just being down your local track for training. You know, not quite as flashy as, you know, Lakeside or something. So that'll sort of bring the nerves down a little bit. Yes, but you've got to allow 1500 metre athletes look like they're just gathering up there, probably getting their hip numbers and some starter instructions.
What kind of conditions do 1500 runners enjoy? Like, does wind bother you in a sense?
It's not ideal, definitely. If it's windy, you're going to want to sit back a little more and hopefully use either a pacer or some of your fellow competitors as a bit of a wind block, which, you know, if no one wants to take on that lead in a windy race, it might end up being a bit slow, of cat and mouse. But of course, yeah, windy is not ideal for any event unless you're only running 100 metres and it's behind you. So tonight's pretty nice and still for the guys. It is a little bit cool, but everyone's a little bit different in what they like in terms of temperature. I like it to be a little hotter personally, but plenty of distance runners who don't mind the cold. So I'm sure there's plenty of happy runners out there, and I'm sure it's warm enough once you get going. Has been a little bit humid earlier today. So our girls just doing sort of their final run throughs. They get ready to line up. So
it's good to see the wide variety of age ranges as well.
So about 5 minutes down from the start of the women's A
So we've just heard over the loudspeaker there is still 5 minutes before the start of our first 1500 metre race. So
who's your pick for this one, Lyndon?
Look, I think it could be a really close race between Georgia Hanson and Abby Caldwell. Georgia's got a really quick PB. She ran really well last season after ran the 800 at World Juniors in 2016, and then last year ran the 1500 at Senior Nationals and made the final there. And I think she finished probably 6th or 7th and ran a really big PB up there. I think she might have even run a PB in the heat and the final. But obviously Abby Caldwell's been running really well, fresh off World Juniors and a Zatopek 3K last week. So be interesting to see how she's recovered from that 3K. But that was a pretty flashy race they ran there. They started off really slow in that girls' race, but finished pretty quick around a 3-minute K, or just over, I believe, if the rumours I heard are true. So definitely some speed in the legs, but obviously Georgia Hanson might be a little bit fresher, but it is her first race of the season, so might be a little rustier than Abby, who's had a couple of races, but over the longer distances. She ran the 5K at the Vic 5K Champs. I believe she was in fourth place.
It is, I don't know how old Abby Caldwell is, but she's another one that's come through the school system, and I don't think she's that old. I think she's around 15, 16.
I think she's about 17.
17.
Yeah, so was one of the younger athletes on that World Junior team.
So in the starter's hand, women's A 1500, we will introduce the field once they are underway.
Oh, that was a very quick 5 minutes. So our girls are off, so we'll run through our competitors quickly. So our women's A 1500 metre, Station 1, Georgia Hanson, Box Hill. Station 2, Abby Caldwell, Doncaster. Lane 3, Emily Guy, Athletics Essendon. Lane 4, Anna Saw, Glen Huntly. Lane 5, Marley Campton of Box Hill. Lane 6, Lucinda Buckley of Melbourne Uni. Lane 7, Megan Dixon of Athletics Chilwell. Lane 8, Bridget Seeley of Athletics Nuttawading. Lane 9, Lauren Connell of Athletics Essendon. Lane 10, Heidi Demio of Athletics Chilwell. Lane 11, Cassandra Mester of Wellington. Lane 12, Hannah Williams of Doncaster. Lane 13, Remy Gibbs of Frankston. Lane 14, Melissa Neerwald of Doncaster. Lane 15, Monet Goldworthy of Williamstown. And lane 16, Jessie Main of Diamond Valley. And Georgia Griffiths has gone straight to the front pacemaking as promised, with her training partner Georgia Hanson sitting right in behind her, as well as Abby Caldwell. So the two we were talking about early have gone straight to the front. So we'll see how far Georgia makes it. She, I believe, is looking to go to 800 or a K. So go through about 68 in that first lap. So a solid pace for these girls, but Georgia Hanson looking a little bit impatient, just moving up on the shoulder of Georgia Griffith, perhaps suggesting to pick up a little bit, or maybe just because she's feeling the pressure from behind from Abby Caldwell. But these guys have had quite a big break on the rest of the field, which has been led by Athletics Essendon's Emily Guy by the looks. But that second pack is really also starting to string out. Not unusual to see in our women's races. Often do get a bit of a spread. But Georgia Griffith doing a great job out in front, helping out these girls here tonight. But Georgia Hanson just moving up onto her outside a little bit, getting a little bit impatient perhaps. But Emily Guy needs our next group. So we'll try and get an eye on a rough split as they go through a 800. So looks like we were just under about a 220 on the back straight for the 800, so really hard to tell from where we're sitting. You guys can probably tell better from watching at home than we can. But Georgia is going beyond her promised 800 metres, which is great to see. She's starting to get a little bit away from Georgia Hanson and Abby Caldwell, so perhaps can back off a little bit and let them catch back up.
Just starting to ease back to get back into contact. So it's Caldwell and Hanson running together, basically.
But Abby Caldwell coming up a little bit on the outside of Georgia Hanson as they come into the front straight, perhaps looking to make a move as we come in to get the bell.
So Griffith easing to the outside. Caldwell
So Georgia Griffiths looks like she's ready to pull off. And Abby Caldwell has taken over the lead of the actual race from Georgia Hansen. So they get the bell. And in a very short space of time, Abby Caldwell's opened up a pretty significant gap on Georgia Hansen. So definitely feeling pretty race sharp as she's really starting to stride out down the back straight.
and also
But Abby Caldwell's now opened up about a 40-metre lead over Georgia Hansen. She comes up with about 200 to go and looks like she's just getting quicker. Legs are turning over really quickly, and
the interest now is going to be the clock.
we'll have to keep on an eye of the clock as it's just coming up to about 4 minutes.
Georgia Griffith
As she enters the home straight, really took full advantage of that pacemaking, did Abby Caldwell here.
get behind Andy Caldwell. This is an impressive display.
So coming down the front straight, all alone, Georgia Hansen about 60 metres back. But she's going to come through about 4:19, so she dips under 4:20, which I'm fairly sure is a couple of seconds off her PB. I believe she ran a 4:21 last year, so Georgia Hansen holds on for second from Lucy Buckley, Emily Guy, Bridget Seeley. Really close finish between that sort of mid-pack range. So
What a superb run by all these girls. I mean, Remy Gibbs, I see her so often, and I do wonder about how much load she's putting on her body, but she seems to compete quite a bit. She was at Zatopek the other night too.
yeah, quite a few of the girls in this race ran some of the 1500 or the junior 3K at Zatopek the other night. So I'm sure they'll be ready to put their legs up over Christmas while there's not so many races on. They've had a busy week.
I feel a bit ripped off. I've only just discovered Zatopek 2 years ago. I didn't know anything about it before then. Being an athletics junkie, I just love it. The Thursday night thing is just awesome. Great competition. Love the long jump, the pole vault, all of that.
Yeah, always a bit of a highlight on the calendar, being the first sort of big event of the year. Everyone's usually pretty excited to get out there and get involved.
Is it a bit of a pace setter for some athletes like yourself? Do you go out there as a bit of a marker against some pretty fine competition to think, okay, where am I at in my pre-season? Where am I at? What do I need to work on?
I actually haven't run a Zatopek since I was a junior under 23K, partly because I was over in America for a couple of years in there. But yeah, definitely. I think last year everyone was firing with an earlier nationals. This year was perhaps a little bit quieter, with people not so urgent in running as fast as early. But always an amazing night for the 10K, which is the main event, as well as the junior 3K. Our men's A competitors are starting to gather up in the start line and see if they can match the kind of standard that our girls set with that really impressive run from Abby. So a couple of minutes away from the boys getting underway.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, don't they normally do the A's a little bit later on in a milers meet?
Yeah, I believe the reason for doing it in reverse order here at Box Hill is the photo finish equipment here at Box Hill, without quite the same lighting we have at Lakeside.
Yeah, that's true.
Is not quite as effective when it gets darker, and I guess traditionally those in the A race and the higher grades are, really after qualifying times, and often you get the real close finishes. So looking to have the photo finish hot and running for those divisions, but it's a few extra lights in these days, I think, with the renovations they had here, so they might not have those same problems anymore. They usually bring out a few extras just as backup, but yeah. But our A men's race are off and running. So we'll run walk through our competitors quickly. Ben Buckingham, St Stephen's, Edward Bysher, Old Scotch, Lachlan Aspinall, St Stephen's, Tim Logan, Diamond Valley, Thomas Thorpe, St Stephen's, Nicholas Baggett of Box Hill, Matthew Hussey of Western A's, Lachlan Scott of Tasmania, Jake Stevens, Mornington Peninsula, William Lewis of St Kevin's, Oscar Robinson of Victorian Cross Country Lead, Chow Lui of Doncaster, Alistair Christie of Doncaster, and Aidan Roberts of Diamond Valley. It looks like we have a pacer out front here as well, perhaps. We have 2 pacemakers, actually, so that's double the fun for the boys here tonight. So Ben Buckingham sits in behind our pacemakers, leading our actual race. But a very tightly bunched race compared to our women's race. We are starting to string out down the back straight. But Ben Buckingham looking pretty relaxed there in second place as we lose our first of our 2 pacemakers. So a very big St Stephen's presence at the front of this field with our pacemaker Sean Guinea, followed by our race leader Ben Buckingham and Lachlan Aspinall there in third place.
In the pre-Huntley dominance days, as we see there's a Stevens train led by Captain Sean Guinea. Buckingham's there, Thorpe's there, Aspinall's there, Logan from Diamond Valley is up there. Baggett, the Box Hill runner, the sole Box Hill runner in this field. That's unusual here at Box Hill.
So our St Stephen boys at the front look to be working pretty well together as we come up to 800 metres. So Sean Guinea pulls off and leaves Ben Buckingham to lead the race from Lockie Aspinall and our Box Hill athlete in Nick Baggett.
Bysher starting to move in the red colours of Scott. Jake Stevens up there.
But not a lot of movement as we come through. Everyone very strung out, but probably still time to see a lot of changes as we saw in that women's race. Quite a few fast finishes we had there. The boys will enter the straight and they'll come up and get the bell.
So the clock approaching 2:40. It's not going to be super quick, but we expect there could be some big moves coming through this pack as a few of the guys are looking.
But Ben Buckingham maintains his lead and a regular at running fast at these Milers Club meets. Diamond Valley's Tim Logan making a big move, getting amongst our St Stephen's athletes and breaking that up. But Ben Buckingham maintains his lead with about 300 to go. Tim Logan challenging and moving past Lockie Aspinall. And Tom Thorpe, our third St Stephen's athlete. And Doncaster's Charlie coming in and also challenging to get across into this top 3. But Ben Buckingham, who's led a vast majority of this race, is starting to form a bit of a gap from our next 4. So Buckingham will lead us into the straight, looking pretty good to take it out, but some challenges coming from Tom Thorpe and Tim Logan chasing hard as well. So it's looking like it's going to be St Stephen's versus St Stephen's. And Tom Thorpe with the big finish, it sneaks it just on the line, just under 350. So nothing crazy fast for the boys here tonight, but some good racing for them.
Pretty strategic run there for the young man.
Yeah, definitely a bit of a team player presence there at the front with our St Stephen's boys. But Tim Logan getting in there to break up their trifecta.
They're pretty strong, the Diamond Valley boys, actually, Aidan and Tim.
Yeah, they've got a pretty good group going these days. Out there.
Yeah, it is good. They've been the Diamond Valley boys have managed to maintain somewhat of a training regime without a track. The track is less than a month from being open, so we're pretty excited by that, but it's been a killer. I don't know if you've had your track redone over at Essendon.
Our Essendon track is currently being resurfaced as well.
Well, you're about to go through, or we go through, and you know when you just gather as a training group and you've got 6 on a night and you've got 6 or 7 training groups and you just walk around and talk to people and all of that, you just don't have that, and it really does impact the relationships in the club.
Yeah, I know the Essendon-based squads have been working with, our other surrounding tracks, Keilor and whatnot, to try and share their tracks. So it's great to see everyone sort of helping each other out.
Yeah, exactly.
As much as
yeah,
possible.
We've got some Essendon pole vaulters actually over at Meadow Glen. They'll come across to Diamond Valley once we're all ready to start. So now we've got the women's B race coming up. Despite all the technical issues we had for the first hour, this night has gone pretty quick.
Yeah, now that Jake Stevens has had his race there in the A1500, I'm sure we'll get his company back as well.
But as you can see, what you were talking about before, about the lighting and all of that, moving the A races to the start, we were here for the Box Hill White Horse event, the Twilight, just a couple of weeks back, and when it got dark it was really hard to see. I mean, there are lights, but it was crazy hard to see. The cameras couldn't pick much up, so it was a good move to move it to the start.
So a big program of 29 races here tonight at Milers Club. They seem to just get bigger and bigger each meet, which is great. It does mean the finish time gets later and later though. But it looks like our women in the B race are starting to line up. So they should be underway momentarily.
Running books. So official winning time, Tom Corp, St Stevens in the men's A1500. 3 minutes, 49.25 seconds. First sub 50 for Tom Corp. Ben Buckingham second, 3:49.75.
Ah. So we've got quite a few younger athletes lining up in our next race. So again, some of our athletes who may have been involved in the all schools competitions and whatnot already this season. So hopefully ready to go.
What are we up to?
Dave. So away now, women's B. 1,500 metres.
That's been.
Station 1 from Docs, Abby Kenny, station 2 from Doncaster, Jessica King.
So we'll run through our competitors starting in the women's B race here tonight. Lane 1, Bianca Puglisi of Athletics Essendon. Lane 2, Nima Tabbitt of Coburg. Lane 3, Monique Goldsworthy of Williamstown. Lane 4, Amira Tabbitt of Coburg. Lane 5, Olivia Richardson of Geelong Guild. Lane 6, Kelsey Vickery of Mentone. Lane 7, Indigo Lind of Yarra Rangers. Lane 8, Izzy Girardi of Deakin. Lane 9, Bianca Scarry of Sandringham. Lane 10, Abby Goldsworthy of Williamstown Athletics, Saskia Lloyd of South Melbourne. Lane 12, Mia Pope of Box Hill. Lane 13, Jessica Ng of Doncaster. Lane 14, Abby Kenny of Knox. Lane 15, Emily Dare of Sandringham. So not too similar to our first women's race. We've got two athletes just breaking away from the rest of the field.
nicely there in the Box Hill colours. It's easy.
But they are starting to catch up a little bit, that second group, so they might get swallowed up. Just a little bit of eagerness off the start line.
Just making a guess. Generally would be in front of Amira, who has Saskia Lloyd just in front of her, but just going alongside her now.
But our leading athlete, it looks like Puglisi of Athletics Essendon, has really opened up quite a big gap on the field over this first 600 metres of the race. Has a bit of a gap back to Tabit of Coburg, and then back to Izzy Girardi of Deakin. But really strung out here tonight as Tabit just catches on to our Athletics Essendon athlete Puglisi at the front of the field, and the two will go through together. So they go through 700 metres of this race. So we've almost got 3 little races happening here tonight. We've got 2, then 2, and then the rest of the field. But Tabit of Coburg goes to the front and takes over from the Athletics Essendon athlete. Our front 4 have come together as he's doing, and our Coburg athlete Tabit is looking to open up a little bit of a gap on the following 3. A bit of a family affair in this front pack with the 2 Tabit sisters in 1st and 3rd. No doubt a bit of sibling rivalry there. Perhaps we'll see that play out over this last 500-600 metres or so. But our leader is opening up a bit of a lead from this other 3 and just holding that on, and she'll come down with the rest of these girls and get the bell. 1 lap to go.
So still anyone's race actually, because Tabit's gone to the lead. It hasn't really extended, and Girardi's back in the picture. She's gone wide here.
Deacon's Izzy Girardi making a bit of a move and looking to close that gap as they go through to get the bell. And now she moves very quickly onto the shoulder and moves around. Looks like she's looking to take the lead. In the matter of just 100 metres, Izzy's gone from about 3rd to 1st and opened up a gap to our second place competitor in the 2nd and 3rd place Tabit sisters. So showing her slightly older, wiser racing experience here, Izzy Girardi. She's opened up about a 20-metre lead as they come up with just 200 metres remaining in the race. But definitely looking like Izzy's race to lose at this stage. But Izzy looking to hold on to her win, definitely bided her time early through that race. Sat back, relaxed, and then huge last lap coming up. So Izzy Girardi will hold on for the win in about 4:46 there from our first Neve Tabit. And coming into 3rd, I believe that's a Mentone singlet coming through. So a few changes in that second half of the field over that last 300 or so.
Some good running there. Now women's B 1500 metres taken out by Isabel Girardi. 4:46.
We see some pretty fast times even in this B race, men's B race that we've got, with 3:57 being in Callan Goldsmith, Harrison Carr and Joel Donner.
And it looks like we've got a really big field lining up on the back straight for this race. So we've got 16 competitors listed on our start line, our start list. So may look to be a little bit bunchy.
Next event on the track, the men's V1500. We will introduce the field once they are underway.
Quite a few athletes entered with around that 4 minute or just over 4 minutes, so definitely a huge barrier to break. So hopefully we can see a few of those boys break that 4 minute barrier for the first time tonight. So men's B race up and running, and looks like our Pacemaker from the previous races is back as well, so that's great to have them helping. But we'll go through our competitors. Lane 1, Callan Goldsmith, Mornington Peninsula. Lane 2, Harrison Carr, Old Scotch. Lane 3, Joel Donner, Athletics Nuttawading. Lane 4, Mason Scott, Athletics Essendon. Lane 5, Harry Sharp, Wendouree. Lane 6, William Collins of Knox. Lane 7, Michael Dowell of Box Hill. Lane 8, Felix Lonergan of South Melbourne. Lane 9, Peter Gren of Box Hill. Lane 10, Alexander Ritchie of Box Hill also. Lane 11, Nathan Pearce of Williamstown. Lane 12, Ethan Anthony of Mornington Peninsula. Lane 13, Eric Ueda of Melbourne University. Lane 14, Josh Collins unattached. Lane 15, Sam Bunnage of Mentone. And finally, Douglas Bunkeridge of Box Hill Athletic Club. We do have 2 paces in this race as well, I believe, so the boys have been very spoilt tonight. So looking to set this race up pretty well, and the boys have strung out a fair bit, but everyone is very much still in this race. But our front 4 in our race are starting to just break a little bit away from the rest of the field.
Next position, Goldsmith. Probably you would expect these 3 to be up there. So Thomas having an impressive season. We're expecting him to start to really break through at these races. This is going to be a good chance for Joel Donner to get a little bit of a toe here from Lachlan Hurd and go on with a very solid performance. But then, gee, they're starting to bunch up now. Collins is there. So Donner's sitting pretty behind Hurd. Goldsmith, Carr, Collins. Then we've got Josh Collins. They're the Essendon runner there. That's Mason Scott. Felix Lonergan in the red and white of South Melbourne.
So our second pacer pulls up. So Joel Donner is leading away down the back straight from our Mornington Peninsula athlete in second, but has opened up a little bit of a gap and then a further gap back to the rest of the field. So some big moves happening in that main pack, but our front 2 athletes are well clear at this stage. But we have seen some huge finishes here tonight, so perhaps a little too early to rule something out. But Joel Donner comes in leading away into the straight from Callan Goldsmith, our Mornington Peninsula athlete. And they actually still have a lap. I got ahead of myself. Apologies. So Donner looking to build on this lead over this final lap as he looks to move further away from our second place competitor as well as from the rest of the field. Our big pack being led by Felix Lonergan of South Melbourne, more of an 800 metre athlete traditionally, but did have a run over the 3K at our last Milers meet. But Donner looking to be challenged perhaps by Callan Goldsmith, our Mornington Peninsula athlete. So we might be in for a big finish as we come into this final 200 metres. But change of lead in our second pack as well, with Michael Dowell of Box Hill taking over the lead from Felix Lonergan and perhaps looking to challenge our lead too. A lap ago, you wouldn't have thought these guys were going to catch these front 2, really put out some front running. So Michael Dowell, our Box Hill athlete, looking to challenge for the win. So it's going to be a really close finish, but looks like Michael Dowell, home track advantage, the Box Hill athlete, is just going to sneak that win.
What a ripple win. Fantastic. Again, some pretty fantastic running tonight by all the competitors as we see the women's C race. 22. I think we've only got 6 races left, actually. I think. I might be wrong. Yep. We've got 7 races left after this. 6 including this one. 7 including this one. So moving pretty quick through the night, but then it is 8:30.
Yeah, exactly. The night goes fast.
Deceptive.
You just keep watching all these races, and before you know it,
at least you won't have traffic on the way home.
Who knows? Everyone might be leaving the shopping centres, their last-minute Christmas shopping.
I know, it's crazy. I stopped in there today, and the parking. I don't know why I did actually. Didn't need to go. So who do we have? That is your pick in this one here. This is event
we're starting to get
number
into
22.
some of these. We've got a lot of our younger athletes in these races, and admit my age, I'm not quite as familiar with some of these girls in this age group as I used to be. But a few names pop out that I did see running in the races at Zatopek the other night. So looks like a lot of our field just under that sort of 5-minute barrier, and a few, just over it or right on. So like the boys looking to break that 4-minute barrier. I'm very sure there's a lot of girls here keen to break that 5-minute barrier here tonight at Milers Club. It's a pretty big milestone. So really big range of competitors in this race, down to a couple of 13-year-olds. So obviously some really impressive running for them to be running around that 5-minute mark. But yeah, again, a lot of those sort of school-aged athletes have probably been involved in a lot of school competitions and ready to go. Probably enjoying being a little bit fresher now that they've probably finished up with school and all of that. So hopefully looking to take advantage of being able to have a relaxing day before a race rather than having to be at school. So girls are off in our women's C race, so we'll run through our starters. So Holly Blake of Knox Athletics, Tess Mitchell, Athletics Waverley, Matilda Strungnall of Sandringham, Brianna Kroll of Box Hill, Ella Fisher of Frankston, Maddie Lawson, Richmond Harriers, Freya Dess of Geelong Guild, Georgina Mees of Ballarat YCW, Chelsea Saw of South Melbourne, Abby Goldsworthy, Williamstown, Amy Lane of Western Athletics, Grace Muller of Yarra Rangers, Catherine Foley of Box Hill, Simone Maillard of Collingwood, Ava Cameron of Glen Huntly, and Isabel Collins of Sandringham. So Maddie Lawson of Richmond Harriers has gone to the front and leading the way, but the girls really bunched up. A little bit of a tussle there. So a few maybe a little bit unhappy with the pace and looking to take up the running.
Also in the mix at the moment. The Knox runner there, Holly Blake. Matt Lawson leading them through, approaching 400 metres, so going through at about 74 seconds.
So through the first 400 in about 74 seconds there, still being led by our Richmond Athletics athlete in Maddie Lawson, back to our Box Hill athlete Brianna Kroll in second place. Are starting to spread out just a little bit more over this next lap compared to that very bunchy and tightly tussled first lap these girls had. But Maddie Lawson continues to lead from Brianna Kroll of Box Hill. Quite a few girls looking pretty happy to be sitting back in that pack and take advantage of the pace that's been set by the Richmond athlete. Possibly inspired by some of the strategy seen in some of the early races and seen what a fast finish can do. Saw that huge finish from Michael Dowell, also from Box Hill in that last race. So the girls pretty tightly bunched still as they come through with 2 laps to go. Maddie Lawson still leading the way, and perhaps a little bit of a gap back to the rest of the field, all very tightly bunched there. Quite a few girls running pretty wide.
So expect her to possibly off this pace start to assert herself on the scene just out of Australia. Dess goes in and moves into the second position. So Lawson, Dess, Kroll.
Freya Dess looks to be bridging that little bit of a gap that Maddie Lawson was opening up on that pack and goes up onto her shoulder as they just pass through 800 metres into their race.
So Freya
So Freya Des takes the lead, but being shouldered by Holly Blake of Knox Athletics, who looks to be slightly trying to edge past, so perhaps getting ready for a big finish. But still a really tightly packed group at the front of this race, so looking like we're going to be in for a really big and competitive last lap as they come up. The girls will get the bell as they come down here. But Des and Blake start to open up just a little bit of a gap as they go through the bell neck and neck. We'll see who's game enough to start playing their cards and make some moves earlier. So these two are pretty tightly bunched. But Collins of Sandringham looking to bridge that gap and get onto the back of these two with 300 to go. Our Knox athlete, Holly Blake, who came in with our fastest seed time to this race, has now started to string out and with just over 150 to go. Holly Blake really stretching out that lead. Not the tightly bunched group we saw just 400 metres ago at all. Completely different as she's going to come into the straight with plenty of breathing room. Another really smart race from a young athlete as well, which is really great to see. So she's going to come down, look to take out this race, but a little bit more of a battle between second and third, between Des and Collins. But Blake will take the win in about 4:49, 4:50 in a really close finish between Blake and Collins there. And then Maddie Lawson, our early race leader, who really set that up for those girls coming through there in about 5th place. Really great running from her to be the one to take it out. Not an easy way to do things sometimes. So plenty of hugs at the finish line, which is great to see with these girls. They're probably very used to racing each other and, you know, very friendly despite being competitors when they line up on the track.
So what can we expect in this men's C1500, Lyndon?
Well, much like the girls, I'm not overly familiar with a lot of the competitors, but from looking at the entry times, really close field, sort of just over that 4-minute mark. So again, probably, you know, some boys eyeing off that 4-minute barrier, not too dissimilar to myself. But our boys are off and running. So we'll run through our competitors. Caleb Sin of Doncaster, Lewis Commons of Old Zavarians, Connor Ogilvie of Box Hill, Jesse Dunsmore of Frankston, Marco Pitasano of Athletics Essendon, Alistair Strutt of Glen Huntly, Jordan Maystone of Eureka, Thomas Langdon of Ivanhoe, Benjamin Bicer of Old Scotch Collegians, Matthew Scumberg of Western A's, Daniel Lawler of Victoria Cross Country League, Jack Bullock of Glen Huntly Athletic Club, Jack Hynam of Glen Huntly Athletic Club, Spencer Anderson of Old Melburnians, Don Godfrey of Deakin Athletic Club, and Raman Namer of South Melbourne. So we've got another pacemaker back in this race. The boys have got 2 paces again. So behind our 2 pacemakers, we have our Old Zavarians athlete, Lewis Cummins, I believe that is, in second place, or the lead of the actual race. As our first maker looks to be going wide, perhaps pulling off already. But some of the boys starting to bunch up behind Cummins, perhaps getting ready to make some moves. They probably want to just get a little bit of a move on here. So no real change over that lap, as they also just happy to sit in behind those pacemakers and take full advantage of that. So our first pacer pulls off, and Cummings still holds the lead, but it looks like ours, some moves starting to come. So Jesse Dunsmore from Frankston sitting there in second, but a big move coming from our Doncaster athlete, who I believe came in with our fastest seed sign. So that's Caleb Sin of Doncaster, starting to make some moves and perhaps even challenge for the front of the actual race, as our pacer, Ben Buckingham, is making a bit of a gap on the field. Obviously out there pacing after having a run in the men's A race earlier.
Buckingham leads them. So Commons is up front.
And now Marco Pitasano of Athletics Essendon starts to come into the picture as well, as he sort of goes wide and looks to tuck in behind Ben Buckingham, our pacer, to lead the actual race within the race, I guess. So Pitasano leads from Sin, our Doncaster athlete. So his front 4 have really started to break away from the rest of the race. So Pitasano still leading, but a challenge from Jesse Dunsmore of Frankston. It looks like he's going to start to challenge for the lead, as the boys have 150 metres or so left in racing. As they come into the front straight, looks like Jesse Dunsmore of Frankston will take over the lead just from Athletics Essendon's Pitasano. But no, Pitasano finds another gear. He took that lead early. He wants this win, and he'll just hold off Dunsmore from our early race leader of Lois Cummings, from our Doncaster athlete Caleb Sin. So just over that 4-minute mark there, and a sort of about 4:06, I think. Don't have a great view of the clock from here, apologies. Hopefully we'll get the official results available to everyone watching soon enough.
So Marco Pitasano takes that one out, approximately 4:03.
4:03, wow, I was way off, apologies. But in a good way. Boys went faster than I managed to look at the clock.
Commons was up there the whole time. Has been rewarded with a personal best here tonight at VMC2.
So as we can see, the back straight is pretty sparse as we get to the back end of this championship.
Yeah, it's more of our runners finish up their races, vacating that start area. But probably still the most popular pace at the track is the 1500 start, as is traditional of many distance runners.
Superb calling tonight as per usual, Lyndon. Doing it all by yourself there, but we've got event 24 now. Let me introduce to you the starters just as they start to warm up on the track. Nicole Joseph from Old Scotch. We've got Mia Strudley from Yarra Rangers. Bretta Janetsik from Old Zavarians. May Reid Spark from Williamstown. Rose Mayhew from Athletics Chilwell. Stephanie Thomas from Western Athletics. Nicole Pennings from Athletics Nunawading. Karima Wakeem from Collingwood Harriers. Miller Gleeson from St Kevin's. Tess Rhodes from Athletics Chilwell. Lauren Moresby from Diamond Valley. Got Christine Ashton from Box Hill. We've got Tian Postons from Box Hill. Abby Brady from Mornington. And Eliza Lepere from Ballarat. Long way to travel for Eliza, so hopefully this is all worth it for her. What am I talking about? It's always worth running, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. It's always fun when you get to come down and race.
So we can see the girls all just getting ready on the back straight. Again, the reason there's no clock on the screen, viewers, is purely and simply because there is no feed coming to our live feed, but you can get the results on Athletics Victoria's website straight after the event. I'm sure they'll be pleased to get you on their website and downloading those results. So not many races left. We've got the men's D, then the women's E, men's F, and men's G. So hopefully we beat the darkness. It is getting pretty dark out there. Our cameras are going to struggle to pick up some of it. Like I said, it is interesting that there is lighting here. It's just not very strong.
So girls are off in our DRS. So we've had a little bit of a tumble in that first 100. So back up and running. So good thing it's early. Hopefully enough time to recover and get back on to the pack with the rest of the girls and still have a good run.
Always good to see.
So the girls are really close together, all still in the race at these early stages.
Rose Mayhew, also Abby Brady up there, Eliza Lepere, Mia Strudley, down here. Pace is pretty good.
So Rose Mayhew of Chilwell leading the way in this women's D 1500 metres here. And all the other girls looking pretty happy just to sit behind her and let her set the pace in these early stages. Still got plenty of running left. But all still pretty bunchy and all still in the race. So
it does look like Rose Mayhew is leading the way right now from Athletics Chilwell.
Yeah, one of our youngest competitors here tonight at just 13 years of age. So really brave running from her to come up and race some of these older girls and show them how it's done a little bit. But she's now been challenged for the lead by our Western Athletics competitor, Stephanie Thomas. And those two will share the lead as they come in to the front straight, where they'll have 2 laps to go. But still a very bunchy race.
And this is what you were talking about before, Lyndon, that no one wants to really take the lead. It is a bit windy and blustery out there, so they want to sit back from the wind.
Yeah, a little bit of that happening as well, I'm sure. But overall, a pretty good night. Not too windy. They've definitely probably endured worse. But Rose Mayhew continues to lead just from Stephanie Thomas of Western Athletics, but the rest of the field really just looms. And right as we say that, a really big move being made.
So the moves are starting to take place now. As you can see, the field starting to spread. The bonnet and one new continuous line. You open that big bunch with that earlier.
And our new race leader, whose uniform I cannot identify, apologies, has really broken away from this field. That really decisive move as they went through the 800 metre mark. And Mariette Spark, our Williamstown Athletic, leads that chase pack from our early leaders of Western A's and Chilwell there. So now we'll see if they are able to challenge this big move she's made. Whether she'll be able to hold it off over this final 400 metres. So is Janetsky of Old Zavarians, who has made that decisive move and gone to the front and really opened up a gap on the rest of the field. But no doubt over this final 400 we'll see the moves come thick and fast from these girls. But with just 300 to go, she's maintaining about a 20 to 30 metre lead from our next placed competitor, which looks still to be our Williamstown athlete in Spark. She comes up with just 200 to go. Once again, some really smart racing we've seen, just sitting back in that big bunch and then coming home really strong over that final lap and really breaking up the race.
Yeah, pretty tough on the cameraman to try and gather as many as he can in shot, but we can only get 3, obviously, because the group is really spread out.
Yeah, from such a bunchy race early on, they've really strung out over this second half. So Janetsky will look to come down and take this D race, but some fast finishes coming. So a really big challenge coming from Mia Strudley, I believe, of Yarra Rangers. Just over the 5-minute mark there for these girls. So the rest of the girls all coming through nice and strung out over the finish line in our women's D race here tonight at Box Hill.
Just from there, Strudley, big finish there from the young Yarra Rangers athlete. That finishes off our women's D, 1500 metres.
Temperature has certainly cooled down, that's for sure.
Yeah, as it has started to get a little darker, it has gotten quite a bit colder. Hopefully the runners are warm enough after all their warm-ups to be all right. For those of us just sitting here watching, it is getting a bit chilly. Makes me feel a bit cold watching all these girls in their crop tops and the boys in their singlets. So not quite summer here.
It is actually, I was saying to a couple of people today, it's hard to believe we are in summer. The weather has not been the summeriest weather, that's for sure.
A few hints of brilliance, but for the large part, rain. So at least we haven't got that tonight.
Well, the hard thing is for, like we talked about before, for a centre that's trying to get their track done, we need some heat. So hopefully you'll get the heat as they start to... They ripped up your track yet, or...?
Yeah, the Essendon track is gone. There's... I don't think they're too far away. I think they're starting to lay it.
Do you know... Really?
I think so, yeah.
Wow.
Saw some updated pictures.
Do you know what they do with the track, just out of interest?
No idea at all.
They used to put it in landfill, and so that's not very good for the environment. One of the truck drivers about a year ago struck up a deal with some farmers, and now farmers pay $20 for a massive roll, like I'm talking massive roll, $20 per roll, and they put it out for the cows, so the cows, when they come in to get milked, they're walking on track.
There you go.
It's a good use of the track.
Yeah, so on the freshly laid Box Hill track here, we are our men's D race is up and running. It looks like Ben Buckingham is back doing another pacing job, which is great. So we'll run through our starters. So Josh McLeod of Box Hill, Luca De Conza of St Kevin's, Peter Chappell of Unattached, that is not a club, Scott Benedict of Ringwood, Blake Anderson running unattached, Aidan de Boission of St Stephen's, Callum Day of St Kevin's, Lachlan Higgs of Diamond Valley, Samuel Rattray of Box Hill, Nicholas Phillips of Diamond Valley, Benjamin Bicer of Old Scotch, Bailey Morell of Frankston, Ethan Sin of Doncaster, Matt Grant of Victorian Cross Country League, and Tristan Mione of St Kevin's. So our pacer, Ben Buckingham, is leading the way. Our double pacemakers, actually, we've got both our boys back again. So one of our St Kevin's athletes is sitting in behind our pacers as the first competitor in the event. So getting quite a nice little sit just there. As the boys are pretty strung out as they've just gone through 400 metres.
Victorian Milers Club spirit being shown here. All the more experienced athletes pitching in to help out and pace some of the younger athletes.
So the front half of the field starting to make a bit of a break from the second half of the field. So our two pacemakers lead from St Kevin's, Luca De Conza, which is our third placed athlete in the yellow singlet there, but is the leader of our actual race. And our white singlet is one of our unattached athletes, which is Peter Chappell, sitting in second in the actual race behind De Conza of St Kevin's. These two boys really taking advantage of the pacemaking being provided. As Ben Buckingham just drops back a little bit, probably looking to pull off shortly.
Not quite ideal conditions, but we have seen some very good racing. 206 from Morgan Mitchell, Tom Thorpe breaking.
So our pacer Lockie Hurd pulls off.
First time in his life. Now leads Benny Buckingham to the
And they start to bunch up just a little bit now that the pace is pulled off, but Ben Buckingham looks like he's trying to get to the front again and help these boys out for a little bit longer as they get the bill. De Conza still leads from Chappell. It looks as though Ben is trying to help out his St Stephen's teammate there.
Chappell's still there. Rattray digging deep. Matt Grant still going with them. Gap then to Morell. It looks like it's a gap to the catch. That's a Ringwood. No, sorry, it's the Diamond Valley. That's Lachlan Higgs.
We've still got sort of a group of three there, clearly at the front.
Maybe
perhaps even 5 if they could get back on. DeConza, our consistent race leader, has done a lot of work but has just been passed by our Box Hill and St Stephen's athletes, looking to have some really big finishes, perhaps inspired by some of our earlier racing we've seen with some great strategy of sitting back. So our St Stephen's athlete takes the win. Unsure of the time, unfortunately, so hopefully the results are not too far away for those following along onto that event, as our strung out competitors all finish up and cross the finish line. Lots of very tired bodies at the finish line there. Sign of a good race had, hopefully set up really nicely by the continued pacemaking services we've had tonight. Those boys have had a real workout. I think they've been out there in about 3 or 4 races now. They're probably enjoying the fact that the grades are going in reverse order tonight, because they're getting a little bit slower, rather than if you were going the other way, you'd have to keep getting quicker. So that is probably a nicer way to do it.
Too true. That is very true. So with only a few races left,
yeah, I believe
4
this
in
is
total.
Maybe our final women's race.
Final women's race, yep. Is certainly getting very dark out there. We can see.
I'm not great at picking uniforms and people at the best of times, so this may really test me. I will apologise in advance. It's good when there's only like 1 runner from every club. Makes it a little easier. If you guys could organise yourselves that way, that would be great. So the last of our girls are just getting lined up on the back straight. What of that we can see now as it does start to get a little darker. Definitely making it a little more challenging. So our women's E1500 are off and running, so we will run through our competitors. Sophia Tedesco, unattached. Nissa Males of Williamstown. Christine Ashton of Box Hill. Charlotte Drake of Williamstown. Sarah Dixon of Chilwell. Tansy Robinson of Williamstown. Gracie Lee Egner of Eureka. Ruby Turner of Melbourne Uni. Georgia Pounding of Old Zavarians. Sarah Watts of Ballarat YCW. Kirsty Newcomb of Athletics Chilwell, Kavya Balaja of Diamond Valley, apologies on my pronunciation there, and Emily Lumsden of Doncaster, and Chloe Turner of Old Zavarians. So these girls have really spread out over this first almost 300 metres that they've gone. It looks like one of our Chilwell athlete has gone to the front. In just the space of 400, they've really spread out, and hardly anyone really running in much of a pack here. So hopefully some girls have still got a bit of an incentive of chasing that girl in front of them over the next few laps.
to 4 here. Interesting race.
So our first four have started to come back together a little bit, so we might see these girls start to challenge each other a bit and some change in the leader.
Miles there, Tedesco there. Also Charlotte Rayner's there as well, but in the back of that lead under 4. Kirsty Newton's coming through now, counting as well. The old various colours.
So our lead group of four looks to be Sophie Tedesco and Nissa Mayles, Charlotte Drake and Gracie Lee Egner. Hopefully our eyes are not deceiving us in our slightly new dark challenges. But those four have got a huge break back to the rest of the field. So I think we can confidently say our race winner is going to come from these four. So these girls are going to enter the straight.
So we've had a bit of a break here. Got the ones that come through different with the dark conditions now. The Williamstown runners there. That's Nissa Mayles.
So Nissa Mayles has made a bit of a break on the other three athletes as she enters the final 400.
Now we've got Sarah Watts coming through. Lou Turner. Sarah Dixon. One of our, that would be Tansy Watts coming through. Jordan Pounders looking strong, 1 lap out. Kirsty Newton's going through. So 5:46 is a new record set by Kirsty Newton on the weekend in Geelong. So looking at that time, setting the Australian record here. So Chloe Turner from Old Bavarians coming through to get one to go. Emily Lumsden right with her.
So our race leader Mayles of Williamstown comes up with about 150 remaining, looking largely unchallenged.
Good move there.
Very easy to spot in those bright socks and shoes. Well, we are here in a bit of darkness now at Box Hill.
Coming into the home straight and
She looks to be extending her lead from her Williamstown teammate in second place down the front straight. So we're going to have a Williamstown 1-2 here in our final women's race for the evening.
30 seconds. So Miles takes it.
So Mayles will take the lead from her Williamstown teammate, perhaps training partner, in fact.
Looking very strong as well. She'll take third.
And then Tedesco in third as the rest of the girls start to come through the finish line.
Sarah Dixon's through, Turner's through, Watts is through. So Tansy Robinson's through, great run there from Georgia County. Man, we've had Newton's through. Not quite there today, another good run from Kirsty Newton. Followed by Kasia Aladi. So Turner. And Turner will be the next one in for Old Bavarians. Great finish here from Emily Lumsden. She'll round out the field. The women's E1500 metres. So next up, men's E1500 metres. 15 starters.
So this is that was the last women's race. This is the first of the last 3 men's races, the E race.
So we're now final page of start lists here. So it's coming to a close here at Box Hill.
You can only really just see the starter. He's just off the right of screen. But the men are on the line now. And they're off.
So on the way now, men's E 1500 metres, 15 starters. Brad Johnson from Alts in 1. Sebastian Brassington.
So our men's E race, our competitors are, as they get underway in their first lap, Brad Johnson, Old Zavarians, Harry Bowen of St Kevin's, Ben Ludbrook of Eureka, Jackson Glover of Western Athletics, Zach Hunter of Box Hill, Finn Russell of Mornington Peninsula, Ben Grimes of Knox Athletics, Joshua Hawkes of Wendouree, Sebastian Brassington of Old Scotch, Ashton McDonald of Knox, Luke Sin of Doncaster, Kane Marriott of Diamond Valley, Corey Dixon of Knox Athletics, Max Taylor of Athletics Essendon. And on another page somewhere I have 2 more competitors, and that is Jackson Dean of Box Hill and James Anderson of Yarra Rangers. So our boys are looking to string out a little bit over this early lap, but all still very much in contention in this race. And we do have a pacer out front in the red Old Scotch singlet, which is very helpful for these guys, getting a little bit of help get the race going, and hopefully to chase down some PBs. Quite a lot of our younger athletes here in this race, right down to sort of 14 years old. So they'll be hopefully looking for some PBs. They seem to be easy to run when you're 14 compared to when you're a little bit older. But you can see in these races where they do have a pacer, they do tend to spread out a little bit earlier. Gives the boys a little bit of a clearer run and obviously sets them up to hopefully run a quick time. So one of our Knox athletes is leading the race so far. So our athlete in front from Knox is Ben Grimes, and he's taken up this early running so far in this men's E 1500 metres.
And just for our viewers at home, we're unable to provide splits because the clock is completely not working on the front straight, so we can't see. We're as blind as they are.
I don't even have a phone with battery to take the times myself, so really working at a deficit here tonight. So hopefully the results are up pretty quickly. They're usually pretty efficient about it, so hopefully official times will be not too far away. So our boys are coming into the straight. They'll get the bell. And still Grimes, our Knox athlete, is leading, but some challenges look to be brewing from behind as we enter this last lap. Some big finishes likely. So Grimes holding on to his lead, but has company from Ben Lundbrook of Eureka. So they head down the back straight for the final time. These two starting to make a bit of a break. We'll have to wait and see if our Knox athlete, who's done so much of the work, will be rewarded and hold on for the win. So far looking to have a little bit of an edge and perhaps opening a small gap on Ben Ludbrook of Eureka. And now our Box Hill athlete comes into contention. Perhaps another big finish from a Box Hill athlete. We've seen a few of those tonight. But Ben Grimes of Knox maintains that lead. He's worked hard for it. And he's looking like he's going to hold off and finish off strong and get the win. So some really gutsy racing there from our Knox athlete to do a lot of work from the front as our final competitors come through the finish line.
Just wait on time to see, but it might have been a few big PBs in that race. $9.419 for Ash McDonald, so that's a PB as well.
So I've just heard over the loudspeaker that was a 4:18. Was that the winning time? So looks to be a PB as no one in that race had entered with a seed time of 4:20.
So 2 more races left, Lyndon. Event 28, men's F and then men's G.
Yeah, it's starting to get a bit quieter here at Box Hill. A few people starting to clear out. As our sort of 800 metre competitors are probably tucked up in bed already.
Packing up at Box Hill is always a concern because they tend to like to leave and turn the lights off and you can't see. So hopefully I can get it done in the time allocated.
All hands on deck efficiency. It looks like they're getting our boys ready for the F Division 1500 metres over on the back straight. So surely they will be off and running in no time at all.
Well, the crowd really has thinned out. I guess to be expected though, given that the A races is the main meets.
I'm sure there'd be a lot more of a crowd hanging around for these last races if it was a little warmer. Everyone pretty keen to get out of the cold here tonight. So, a little bit of a wait before this next race gets underway. Boys just all loitering over by the start line. Hopefully underway any minute now.
So if you start packing it on, because they'll turn the lights off on me, and it's a killer packing up here. But if you get it packed up the way you set it up, that'll be a massive help to me. I'm going to gift for you both. So good to see Benjamin Purser in the race as well. We got Benjamin, who's 13 years of age, right up to 51 years of age from Luke Goodman. Brilliant.
So our F race are off on the track finally, so we will run through our starters. Jack McLean, Box Hill, Ruben Howard of Glen Huntly, Benjamin Purser of Doncaster, Josh Jensen of Knox. Bradley Hall of Knox, Joshua Franku of Glen Huntly, Alistair O'Brien of Knox, Oscar Mazaraki of Geelong Guild, Will Hine of St Kevin's, Sam Lindsay of Glen Huntly, Tim Hawkes of Richmond Harriers, Luke Goodman of St Kevin's, Xavier Tabbett of Coburg, Nicholas Martin of Knox, Thomas Delber of Ringwood, and Tim McNeil of Old Zavarians, who, if I'm not mistaken, is the brother of another great Old Zavarians runner in Dave McNeil, unless there is another Tim McNeil who also runs for Old Zavarians and looks a bit like Dave. I'm pretty sure that's him out there, which is nice to see it's in the family. But a very bunchy start here, and as you mentioned, we've got all ages here and all heights as well. Some of our littlest runners on the program possibly in this race here tonight. So it's great to have that at Milers Club, getting to race all sorts of different people that you might not get to race in all your competitions. So
it does look like Jack McLean is leading the way from Box Hill.
Yeah, and that front group of about 6 has made a little bit of a break on the rest of our field. So a couple of our Glen Huntly athletes in that pack.
Yeah, Jack is sitting pretty comfortably there.
Yeah, and some pretty comfortable looking people sitting in that cap behind them again. Possibly happy just to ride out these first couple of laps and see how they feel.
Doing their hunting, 2 of them right on his shoulder at the moment. So one of the traditional battles of Victorian athletics.
So Jack McLean of Box Hill continues to lead this front pack, but the challenges are potentially starting to loom behind. But some brave running, but Jack comes in with fastest seed time, so he would have known he was the one to beat.
700 metres out, there's a few moves starting to take place up the front pack. Looks like it's the Doncaster uniform, might be taking it out there.
So some moves coming from a few athletes here as Jack McLean gives up his lead to a few other athletes, but a bit of a gap opening up from one of our St Kevin's athletes. And then that chase pack of 5 athletes being led by Benjamin Purser of Doncaster, who was mentioned earlier. One of our great young athletes getting involved here at Milers Club tonight. But our early leader still in that chase pack there. Not ready to give it up just yet, still very much in the race.
Will Hine leads the way. Purser's up there as well.
So Will Hine, our St Kevin's athlete, leads at the bell with a couple of metres back to our duo of Glen Huntly athletes, as well as Purser and Jack McLean in that group as well. As the boys have about 300 metres remaining, there's still plenty of time for challenges to come. A winner is definitely not decided yet. So one of our Glen Huntly athletes has broken away and really gone to the front and opened up a lead on Will Hine, our St Kevin's athlete, who led at the bell. But now a challenge comes from another athlete, which is a Geelong Guild singlet, and so that'll be Oscar Mazaraki of Geelong Guild, who's taken the front, gone to the front, and opened up a really big gap, finishing like a train on fire down the home straight. So obviously sitting back very comfortably through those early stages, and he'll take the lead here in the men's F division race. So the rest of that lead pack just trickle through, and some close finishes coming through as the rest of the field finishes.
Then we've got O'Brien. Dallow in next position. Finishing off there, Tim Hawkes from Richmond Harriers. Good run there, but Oscar Mazaraki comes through for the win.
And with that, that brings us to our final race of the evening here tonight at Meet 2 for Milers Club for the year. I guess our final meet for 2018 as well for Milers Club.
Good point.
But there still is the awaited Steigen Spectacular down in Geelong this weekend, which we'll also be bringing you a live stream of.
We'll be looking forward to that. Getting there nice and early and ironing out all the wrinkles early because it starts at 6 o'clock. So we'll be ready to rock and roll from 4:45, going live at 5:45. So pretty exciting.
Yeah, some pretty huge fields down there. I know it's been pretty hotly contested to get your name on a start list for the meet this year. So they're doing great things with that meet down in Geelong. It's getting bigger each year, offering some good money for athletes, which is always helpful to get people down there.
Oh, yeah, there's prize money. That's right. They've even got prize money for longest kick, super kick.
Yep, and some prizes for, I believe, first place Geelong resident in each event, as well as if they're doing the cash laps in the 10K again, which definitely makes the race interesting every couple of laps. I know that was pretty fun to watch last year, if they're doing that again this year. So
it's a great event, actually. It's first time I went last year, but the atmosphere is pretty darn good.
Yeah, it was definitely, last year was the first year I went down as well, and really doing great things with that meet. So exciting for athletics here in Melbourne and Geelong or Victoria.
Yeah, we're very lucky with the meets we have. Like Zatopek's another one that we talked about earlier, but that is a fantastic meet. I wish they'd bring back, though, the Melbourne Track Classics. They were fantastic.
Yeah, to maintain those meets, we need to have the crowds and the numbers and the money, and that just gets a bit hard with the rest of the world not being in track season when we are. But as it builds, maybe we'll get back there.
Hopefully.
But looks like our starters in our final race are getting ready to toe the line over there on the back straight from what we can make out in the dark. And we are off in the final race of the evening, the men's G 1500 metres. So our competitors are Brodie Andrews, Athletics Essendon, Andrew Thomas, St Kevin's, Alex Hanna of Melbourne University, Scott Lawrence of Old Scotch, Michael Bishop of Mornington Peninsula, Ross Pentland of South Melbourne, Benjamin Reid of Ringwood, Jack Ellis of Athletics Chilwell, Kennedy Chen of Box Hill, Jack Hill of Box Hill, Lachlan Welch of Williamstown, Ben Forster of St Kevin's, Matthew Mahoney of Glen Huntly, Tom Warstealing of Old Scotch, Lachlan Dess of Geelong Guild, Jared Zakowski of Maccabi Athletic Club, Joel Embario of St Kevin's, Dino Embario of St Kevin's, and Levi Hines running unattached. So 19 athletes here in this race, so one of our bigger fields for the night. So it looks to be our Williamstown athlete who's taking up the early lead. It will be Lachlan Welsh who's taken up the lead. And the rest of the competitors have broken up a little bit, but all largely still in this race. In that front pack, we've got most of our race still in contact, but they are starting to string out a little more over this first 400. So Williamstown athlete looking very, very comfortable out there, leading away.
Williamstown still leads the way. Lachlan Welsh.
So Lachlan Welsh leads this huge field into the straight. There's a trail of other competitors come through again, a real spread of ages and heights in this race here. So Lachie Welsh leads from Kennedy Chen of Box Hill in second place there, I believe.
So our youngest
So our leader, Lachlan Welsh, just continues to build on this lead that he's had, but looking further back in the field, it's a little bunchier, and perhaps we'll see a few more changes over this final 500-600 metres. But Welsh will come into the straight. He'll come up and get the bell, the final bell of the evening here at Box Hill. Looking very good to get the final win of Milers Club for 2018. He's still looking very fresh out in front, Lachlan Welsh, as he gets the bell. But we've got a huge pack of about 5 coming through here. In next, led by Kennedy Chen of Box Hill, but 4 athletes chasing on him. Interesting to see who comes out on top in that pack for our 3rd through 6th places there. But as our race leader comes up to just 200 to go, looking very comfortable and clear for his win. Looks like he'll be moving up a few divisions in the next Milers Club meet. So our eventual race winner, Lachlan Welsh, enters the straight for the final time. Looks to continue to accelerate for a big finish here to take out the last race here of the evening. Welsh takes the win from a very fast-fitting seconding place, and that looks like our Maccabi athlete. And now they're coming through thick through the finish line. Finish off this Milers Club season. Or for the year, not the season. Then we've got Jack Hill coming across the line. And let's get behind the Imbriano boys. So we saw Dino earlier with Sun Glenn. He's really pushing it, Joel. He's making him work hard. Great running there. So Joel will get the nod from the judges just ahead of Dino Imbriano, one of their stalwarts of Milers Club. And our final and youngest competitor comes in to finish at just 9 years of age. What a champ. Finishes off the night for us here at Box Hill.
So good to see a 9-year-old running across the line there and just finishing off the race. Brilliant work. Bright future ahead, we're sure. Thanks for joining us on commentary again, Lyndon. Apologise again, viewers, for the first, little bit where we weren't able to get the sound, but we got it sorted. So we hope you can join us from 6 p.m. live for all the action at Steigen. Steigen is a fantastic meet, so we'll be down there. And I'm sure you'll be watching on your phone, Lyndon, if you've got battery power at the time.
Perhaps, yeah. Sorry, apologies for everyone having to listen to so much of my voice tonight.
No. I think we're going to see.
Hopefully, didn't butcher too many last names and miscall people too much. Few challenges towards the end in the dark, but yeah, great meet here tonight. Hopefully, plenty going home happy with PBs.
Thanks very much, everyone. We're going to see you at Steigen for the next event. Otherwise, have a very Merry Christmas and a great New Year, and we'll see you in the New Year for the next Milers meet, Milers Club VMC3.